Welcome to Good Game with Sarah Spain, the WNBA preview. Today we're doing WNBA Western Conference teams presented in order based on their regular season finish last year, best to worst. The Minnesota Lynx. The story of last season, well, a 34-10 regular season earned the Lynx the #1 overall seed in the playoffs and title aspirations. But it ended with a loss to the Mercury in the semifinals, with MVP candidate Napheesa Collier sidelined to injury and head coach Cheryl Reeve, watching from home, suspended. The story of this season? Is this perennial contender going to have a rare off-season? Or should we know better than to underestimate a Cheryl Reeve-led squad? What looks different this year for the Lynx? A whole lot. The Lynx saw a surprising exodus of free agents in the offseason, including last year's co-defensive player of the year, Alana Smith, and fellow forward Jessica Shepard, both to the Dallas Wings. Half of the stud buds, Natisha Heidemann, left for the Storm, and Dejanay Carrington, who was with the Lynx for part of last season, left Minnesota to sign with the Sky. The team also said goodbye to Bridget Carlton, who was lost to the Fire in the expansion draft. Now, they did bring back Natasha Howard, who played with the team in 2016 and 17, and EuroLeague MVP Dorka Juhas, who's back after taking the 2025 season off. Top draft pick Olivia Miles, who was taken #2 overall out of TCU, should be an immediate contributor. The Stars. Well, the team returns Napheesa Collier, Kayla McBride, and Courtney Williams, who accounted for just under 59% of their league-leading 86.1 points per game last year. But Collier will likely be out through at least June, recovering from ankle surgeries. So it's a question of whether her return could power a playoff run if the team can stay in the mix without her. The stats, well, last season, the Lynx led the league in points, assists, field goal percentage, and three-point percentage, and they were top 3 in steals and blocks as well. They were second worst in the league in free throw percentage, though, and they were just middle of the pack in rebounding. And boards might be an issue again, as they lost 2 of their top 3 rebounders in Smith and Shepard, and will be without Collier for the first half of the season as well. The final number to know for the Lynx, 17. This will be head coach Cheryl Reeve's 17th season at the helm in Minnesota, the longest tenured coach in the league by a good margin. Sounds. Well, you can expect swaggy rookie Miles to bring more than just sick handles and dimes on the court. She's also great for a good soundbite, too. Here she is on the orange carpet at the draft talking to queer media outlet Them and spotting a sticker on their camera.
I love that sticker. Rooting for the lesbians. I just have to, always. The gays, the days, all of them.
Can't wait to see more of Olivia Miles. The stakes for this team? Well, the Lynx have only missed the playoffs twice in Cheryl Reeve's 17 years at the helm, and just once since 2011. They won 4 titles between 2011 and 2017, and they made the finals as recently as 2024. So falling out of contention would be disappointing for any Reeve squad. But Collier's injury would be an easy scapegoat for an off year, so the pressure is actually relatively low, despite this team's pedigree. The Las Vegas Aces. Well, the story of last season is, of course, they did it again. After a slow start to the season and a 53-point loss to the Lynx, they woke up, rattled off 16 straight dubs to finish the regular season, and won their 3rd WNBA title in 4 years. The story of this season? Run it back. Win again. But they aren't going to fool anyone this year. They could be the last team to sneak into the playoffs, and they'd still be the scariest. So what looks different this year? Well, Las Vegas was able to hold on to most of their talent, but they did see Aaliyah Nye go to Toronto in the expansion draft. And they're taking a calculated risk adding known scorer and known locker room problem Kennedy Carter to the mix. She averaged over 17 points a game for the Sky in 2024. But as with every other stop in the W, there were conduct and culture issues, so she ended up unsigned last season, going to play abroad. She'll join other newbies, Brianna Turner, who was last with the Indiana Fever, and number 14 draft pick Janiah Barker out of Tennessee. The Aces also get back Cheyenne Parker-Tyus, who missed most of last year to pregnancy. The Stars. Well, only the New York Liberty can make an argument for a better starting 5 than the Aces. Vegas has got 4-time MVP Asia Wilson at the center of the core, joined by 6-time All-Star Chelsea Gray, 4-time All-Star Jackie Young, and 6-time All-Star Jewel Lloyd, plus Nalissa Smith, who joined Vegas midseason last year and helped them make their 3rd title run. And of course, don't forget Becky Hammon. The Aces head coach and her Blazer hoodies are as much a household name as her players at this point. The stats for this team. Well, like their 500 record for most of last season, the Aces were sort of middle of the pack for most of the major statistical categories. But they did take care of the ball, and they shot well from the charity stripe and were top 3 in three-point shooting percentage. Number to know, 1. As in, A'ja Wilson is the one player who has won a championship, finals MVP, league MVP, and defensive player of the year in the same season. She's also the one player who has won 4 WNBA MVPs. Some sound from this team? Well, in case you missed it, Jewell Loyd joined me for an interview here on Good Game earlier this week, and we love what she had to say about how she handled the free agency signing period.
Yeah, I think for me, I always like to keep options open, right? I never want to just, show off any door. But at the same time, I felt a different kind of connection here in Vegas. But also realizing, what we able to do. And when you win and you have a chance to kind of run it back, you kind of want to keep that same core. And I think that was the mindset of the players here, as well as the organization. But it's hard to walk away from Becky and A'ja, right? I mean, they're the best two in the game. It's like, yeah, why would why would you leave that?
I know the fans are happy to have Jewell Loyd back too. The stakes for this team? It's win or bust for the Aces. With this roster, under this coach, they expect nothing less. The Phoenix Mercury. The story of last season, a 27-17 season was good for the 4 seed, and a shocking upset of the favored Lynx earned them a spot in the finals, where they came up just short to the Aces. The story of this season, well, despite that finals run, the Mercury lost a star in Satou Sabally, didn't bring a single new free agent to Phoenix in the offseason, and didn't make any noise in the draft. They grabbed 2 late picks, draft and stash players we're not going to see play this year. Is their title window closed already? What looks different for this year? Well, the aforementioned Sabally, who averaged more than 16 points and 5 boards a game for Phoenix, left to sign with the Liberty in free agency. Lexi Held and Katia Laksa were snagged by Toronto in the expansion draft. And additions? The Mercury didn't add any. No notable players in free agency or the draft. Stars. Well, the good news is the Mercury still boast a solid core of Alyssa Thomas, Kalia Copper, and Dewana Bonner. Bonner joined the team midway through last season. Monique Akoa-Makani, Sammy Whitcomb, and Natasha Mack return, but Kat Westbeld, who started 24 games for the Mercury last season, will miss the year to a torn ACL. Stats. Phoenix's 43.3% shooting from the field last season was second worst among playoff teams, and their 82.8 points a game were just middle of the pack for the league. Some good numbers? 19-6. Alyssa Thomas has a record 19 career triple-doubles, 6 of them in the postseason. She's put up a triple-double against 10 different franchises in the regular season. How about one more? 357. Thomas, a 6'2 forward, broke the WNBA single season assist record last year with 357, topping Caitlin Clark's mark from 2024. Some sound? Well, Thomas is notorious for letting her play speak for her. There are full compilation videos of her running past the Mercury admin to avoid interviews or being part of social clips. In fact, I think we have admin's latest attempt right here. Yep. Footsteps is about all you're going to get most of the time. Footsteps and triple doubles. The stakes for this team? Well, with perennial MVP candidate Thomas and superstar Copper on the roster, any season not in contention kind of feels like a waste, and they'll want to use this year to lure some more big names to the desert. The Seattle Storm. The story of last season for the Storm, after a 23-21 regular season, the 7-seed Storm pushed the eventual champs, the Las Vegas Aces, to 3 games in the first round of the playoffs, but they couldn't pull off the upset. The story of this season, a massive roster overhaul has the Storm in full-on rebuild mode, looking to the future and to the continued development of their young stars under new head coach Sonia Rahman. What looks different this year? Almost everything. All of the Storm's top 5 scorers departed in free agency. Nneka Ogwumike, Skylar Diggins, Brittany Sykes, Gabby Williams, and Erica Wheeler all left. Veteran Alicia Clark also left in free agency, while the injured Nika Mule, fresh off another ACL tear, got snagged by the Portland Fire in the expansion draft. As for acquisitions, Natisha Heidemann, one half of the Stud Buds, left Minnesota to join Seattle, and Stephanie Dolson left the Mystics to head west as well. Seattle also got young Spanish star Awa Pham in the draft, as well as LSU's Flau'jae Johnson. The Stars? This team's got a young, promising core, and it's centered around the 2 unicorns, second-year big Dominique Malonga and newly drafted Pham. And stud bud Natisha and rapper/hooper Flau'jae are definitely going to be fan favorites. The team's top returning scorer from last year, remember, the top 5 scorers all left, the top returning scorer, Ezi Magbagor, is back, but she's starting this season nursing a foot injury. The stats for this team. Well, most of last year's stats are irrelevant now with a brand new roster, but remember the number 67.5. That's the number of combined points per game scored by the Big Five that the team lost to free agency. They'll need to find new ways to score this season. Also, the number 3, as in 3 dunks thrown down by Malonga and unrivaled this season. Time for her first W slam. Some sound? Well, speaking of those dunks, the Seattle Storm admin tried to get Malonga to declare who her first dunk victim in the W might be, to no avail.
The world wants to know, who you about to dunk on this season?
Nobody. No, not nobody, but no, I'm not starting anything right here. No.
Are you going to dunk this season?
I'm going to dunk this season for sure. That's a for sure. On somebody, that's a for sure too, but who? I don't know.
I don't care who she's dunking on. I just want to see it. The stakes, well, the Seattle team is built for tomorrow, not today. So all eyes will really be on getting young players minutes to improve and getting a look at Coach Rahman in her first opportunity as a head coach in the game. The Golden State Valkyries. The story of last season, well, media fans and various onlookers went from wondering what the heck the Valkyries were doing to marveling at their instant success, both on the court with a 23-21 record and a postseason berth, and off it, setting both attendance records and a new bar for franchise valuations. The story of this season for Golden State, well, being the first ever W expansion team to make the postseason in their inaugural year, makes for high expectations in year 2. But I would not dare doubt this squad after last year shut me and a whole lot of other folks up. What looks different this year? Well, the Valks lost Temi Fagbenley and Monique Billings in free agency, but they grabbed all-star and defensive stopper Gabby Williams from the Storm and added 3-time WNBA champ Kia Stokes from the Aces. The stars of this team, head coach Natalie Nakase is a star in her own right, earning Coach of the Year honors in her first season, and Veronica Burton was the team's breakout star, earning the W's Most Improved Player award. Kayla Thornton, an all-star in the Bay last year, is back, alongside fan faves Tip Hayes, Kate Martin, and Caitlin Chen. The stats. Well, the Valkyries led the league in scoring defense, allowing just 76.3 points per game, and they should only get better with the addition of Gabby Williams, who finished 3rd in Defensive Player of the Year voting last year and led the league with 2.3 steals per game and over 100 deflections. Another number to know, 850, as in $850 million, the Valks' current valuation just 2 years into existence, tops in the WNBA. Sounds from this team? Well, it's the sound inside Ballhalla, the nickname given to the Valkyries crowd and the Chase Center, which is packed to the gills every night. And after seeing their preseason game sell out, the players, including Tip Hayes, are all pretty pumped to get back in front of 18,000 plus every game. Just take a listen.
Just the energy, man. Ballhalla, y'all know how we rockin'. We ready to see y'all coming in there, giving us all the energy. Y'all know how we do. We finna get the dubs this year. You already know. Let's go.
The stakes for this Valks team? Well, after last year's expectations-defying start, anything short of another playoff berth would be disappointing. But the Valks won't yet be expected to contend with the league's best. The LA Sparks. The story of the Sparks last season, well, a 21-23 record kept them out of the playoffs for the 5th straight season, but Kelsey Plum shined in her first year in LA, and the team at least got out of the gutter, avoiding a repeat of the previous season's dead last finish. The story of this season? Major free agency acquisitions and some swaps to embrace vets means this team believes it's in win-now mode. But do they have enough talent to keep up with the best in the league? What looks different this year? Well, major additions to the team include 10-time All-Star and former league MVP Nneka Ogwumike returning to LA, where she spent 12 seasons earlier in her career and won a championship in 2016. Erica Wheeler is another big free agent pickup. She also left the Storm to join the Sparks. Ariel Atkins arrived via a trade that sent Rakia Jackson to the sky, and the team added scorer Tanaya Latson via the draft, the number 20 overall pick out of South Carolina. The stars, well, those new names join a returning core of Kelsey Plum, De'Arica Hamby, Ray Burrell, and Cameron Brink. Stats, well, last season the Sparks did finish second in the league in field goal percentage and points per game, but they had the 3rd worst defensive rating in the league, and they allowed the 2nd most second chance points. So they'll have plenty of scorers again this season, but they gotta hope Ogwumike and Atkins help change the story on the defensive end. 2 more numbers to know, 18.3 and 7.5. That's the point and rebound averages for Nneka Ogwumike last year with the Storm. She may be heading into her 15th season, and she may be heading back to LA, but this is no farewell tour. She still got it. Some sound from the Sparks. While speaking of Ogwumike during her first press conference of the season, she was asked what sparked her return after 2 seasons away from the franchise. And she began by referencing the general manager, Reagan Pebley. Take a listen.
When Reagan was hired just before I decided to leave, I told her, I didn't actually want to leave, but I felt like I needed to, considering, the growth that we wanted to see further in the organization. And I really wanted, to come back. And I'm seeing just that. I think going into this free agency, I was kind of all doors wide open, including returning to Seattle. And I think the timeline of a lot of things accelerated me narrowing down certain organizations. But LA was in the mix, not just because of the time that I've had here, but because of the amazing progress that I've seen in just the 2 years in my absence.
Excited to see what Nneka can do back in that Sparks jersey. The stakes for this team, well, with veteran talent hungry to be on a team that matters, it's playoffs or bust for the Sparks, who haven't made the postseason since 2022. The Dallas Wings. The story of last season, well, the Wings were the doormat of the league with a dismal 10-34 record, tied for last. The biggest positive of their season was a standout rookie campaign from number 1 overall pick Paige Bueckers, who earned Rookie of the Year honors. A story of this season, well, head coach Chris Koklanis got ousted after just 1 year and was replaced by longtime University of South Florida coach Jose Fernandez, who, along with number 1 overall pick Azzi Fudd, will try to breathe some new life into the franchise. At the very least, fans should get a show with Bueckers and Fudd reunited alongside sharpshooter Arike Ogunbowale. What looks different this year? Well, Dallas added a lot of talent in the front court, grabbing co-defensive player of the year Atlanta Smith and forward Jessica Shepard from Minnesota in free agency. Wiley vets Odyssey Sims and Alicia Clark joined in free agency as well, and the team drafted UConn star Azzi Fudd number 1 overall, reuniting her with Bueckers, with whom she won a title 2 seasons ago. The stars, obviously Bueckers, Ogunbowale, Lee Yeru returning for the Wings as well, and then Fudd, aka the People's Princess, will be a draw for fans. Stats. Well, the Wings finished second to last in defensive rating last season, but the addition of Smith and Shepard should help a ton. Their perimeter D might still be a problem, though. The team was 11th in the league in both three-point percentage and three-pointers made per game, and Ogunbowale led the team in three-pointers, but that's not saying much, because after back-to-back seasons of at least 112 made threes on over 320 attempts, she dropped down to 48 made triples on just 158 attempts last year. Now, Ogunbowale put up career lows in a lot of other things, points per game, field goal percentage, three-point percentage, but she'll hopefully benefit from a new coach, new system, and new roster this year. Some sound from the Wings. We know we played it earlier this week, but we just really loved Azzi Fudd's reaction to the officiating after a preseason game, so we got to play it again.
I feel more confused. I thought you could be physical in the W, and anytime you touch someone, it's a foul. So I'm not really sure whether to be physical, whether to... I don't know. So I'm still figuring that out.
Yeah, you're still figuring this out too. Make it hit with fine.
We're excited to see how the number 1 draft pick adapts, and if she gets another wake-up call with a fine, thanks to those comments. We also love the clip of Azzi walking around saying hi with a huge smile to every single one of her opponents during the preseason. We'll see if she gets a little more feisty once the regular season starts. The stakes for this team? Well, after a 2-year drought, the Wings should be a playoff team again, and if the pieces fit just right and new coach Fernandez is a fit, this team could surprise. The Portland Fire, the story of last season. There was no last season. The Fire are an expansion team, so they were in planning mode for their debut season, but years ago, the team's first iteration played in Portland from 2000 to 2002 before dissolving. The story of this season? While trying to equal the success of the Golden State Valkyries in their first season isn't really a realistic goal for this expansion squad, but bettering relatively low expectations is a solid goal. What looks different this year? Well, the team's got a head coach and a roster for starters. Brett Alex Sarama, who's known for his constraints-led approach to basketball, takes the reins after years spent with the MNBA's Cavaliers. The team used the first pick in the expansion draft to grab Bridget Carlton from the Lynx, and they also added the Valks' Carla Late, the Mystics' Emily Engstler, the Dreams' Maya Caldwell, the Wings' Haley Jones, and the Storms' Nika Mule, who will sadly be sidelined for a second straight season with an ACL tear. Carlton's old teammate, Carly Samuelson, joined the team via free agency. The Stars. No true stars on this squad to start the season, but folks who were role players on other teams like Carleton may seize the opportunity to step into a starring role for the first time. Axxi will be a go-to for giggles on the socials, and of course, Megan Gustafson's corgi Pancake will be a breakout star by week 2. Stats. Well, no stats to analyze just yet, but keep an eye on the box scores from Fire games to see who might emerge as their go-to scorer. Carleton should be the leader, despite averaging just 6.5 points per game last year, but it's anyone's guess who might take the lead on this unproven team. Sounds from Portland. Well, we're excited to see how Carleton's game continues to evolve, something she addressed during the team's media day. Take a listen.
I'm ready to take that next step in my career, and that was a really exciting opportunity I'm going to have in Portland. And the coaching staff here, Vanya, they all believe in me, and they see that in me. They've watched me play a variety of roles internationally and obviously in the WNBA. So they see that I'm ready to take that next step in the W. And I'm just being more aggressive, being more of a playmaker than I have been in the past. Obviously playing defense like I always do, but just being relied upon a little bit more. And I'm ready for that, and I'm excited for it. And hopefully that translates to winning games.
Stakes. Well, Sarama's constraints-led approach will likely take some time to get used to, making the job of winning as an expansion team even tougher. The best you can ask of this team is to reestablish a good culture and fan base in Portland, with the city getting a second chance to support a W team.